Hello, my name is Stephen Alff and welcome back to AlffBooks, and today we are here with a guest.
Marina from YouFoundMarina.
And we are here today to do an original challenge. Today's challenge is the Storyteller challenge. The point of this challenge is to come up with a random crazy story, starting with a sentence and then alternatively adding a new sentence to the story, continuing until either there's no more possibilities or because it just doesn't make any more sense, or we just can't come up with anything, or we're just like, I don't know, lying on the floor laughing or something. We'll see what happens. So yeah, let's get started. At the end of the lane, there was an abandoned red brick house.
And in that house, there was a leaky faucet.
No one noticed, apart from myself, when one day I decided to go in.
And very quickly, it drove me crazy.
So I decided to go explore the sewers under the house.
What an adventure that became. I saw many things. That wasn't helpful.
To start with, there was a complete lack of any form of life.
Which is strange because you'd expect to see many rodents.
It was also surprisingly clean.
Which made me wonder if the house was abandoned because the people lived in the sewer.
Or because there was some spy network using the house and the underground.
Dun dun dun! I continued on, and in the distance, I could see a flickering light.
Though the light only turned out to be a small light on the side of the tunnel, I just continued walking from there.
Even though I was slightly disappointed, I thought there must be treasure? What? What? No.
Or at least a fun story to tell my friends when I got out.
Yeah. Even though I was disappointed, I knew that this would make a great story to tell on Halloween. It's not scary though.
After a while, I realized that I was completely lost.
So, I decided to turn left.
Because I could see some light in that tunnel, and the other tunnel seemed somewhat of a dead end.
When I continued to walk, this time I could hear clicking, but not so much like Morse code.
I realized the clicking probably came from a mechanism that was not coming from the tunnel I had turned into, but the other one. So I decided to turn back.
I became quite apprehensive and sped up a bit.
It is at this point that I finally saw someone. The clicking mechanism was due to an opening door in the wall of the tunnel that seemed to be a dead end.
So I crept through this door and entered a massive room filled with many tables that were covered with very modern looking electronics. I don't know. That's what I pictured in my head.
But maybe too modern. They seemed almost futuristic.
All sorts of conspiracy theories flew through my mind.
What if I wasn't completely wrong about the idea of this being something to do with a secret agency? Or maybe, let's go as crazy and say aliens.
And then, as I creep closer into the room, I begin to hear voices in a language that I've never heard before.
At this point, I wasn't sure whether turning back was a better idea or whether my curiosity would move me on to continue and maybe end up in a situation I didn't want to be in. But I decided, you know, at this point I was already so far that I might as well just persevere on.
I ignored the phrase "curiosity killed the cat" and continued on through the next room.
It took me a moment to realize that there were 3 people standing in the room.
One was carrying a very large rake. The other two this is the first thing that just popped into my head. The other 2 had bowls of fruit in each hand.
They had a contraption beside them, which they seemed to be putting different fruit into, and the rake seemed to be some sort of antenna that he'd momentarily dismantled. This surprised me due to the fact that all the advanced technology was in the next room.
Seemed quite rudimentary, but I wondered if this was some extraterrestrial way of making juice and smoothies.
Though what happened next made me quickly think the opposite. That they were making more fruit.
Out of the fruit? When one person would put one orange in, 2 came out.
This made me think of a paradox I had heard of many years before, that if you divided up an item in a specific way, you could put the pieces back together and get 2 of the exact same item.
I felt sure I'd run into some secret government scientific lab and became very excited, but then became very aware that all 3 people were staring right at me.
What would they do to me now that they saw me? I quickly decided to run.
I think I've seen too much. Is that the end of the story?
I guess, yeah. I mean, but why does he go crazy? We didn't get to that point.
I don't know. We just completely forgot that he was crazy. Maybe this whole thing was like some
He
vision.
might have gone crazy if he'd stayed in the house longer, maybe. And that's why he decided to go to the sewers instead of leaving the house.
Instead of going out the exit, you go down to the sewer. I feel like
Obviously.
he went to the sewer with the sole purpose of trying to figure out this leak.
What was causing it? The noise? Yeah.
But then
And
he
found
got
something
lost
completely
and
different.
then found himself in a very strange situation.
So maybe the noise wasn't a leak. Maybe it was from the lab or something like that.
Yeah, that's true. Oh, I think we're onto something here.
This is fun.
Yeah, it was good.
Yeah. Well.
We should ask them what happens next.
Yeah. So what do you think happens next? Where do you think there might have been a flaw in the story or not? What did you like about it? What do you think will happen? Yes. Let us know down below in the comments. And feel free to do this. I will be challenging a few people and I'll be leaving links in the description to their channels. Just a quick note from Editing Steven. I'm going to be leaving a link here to Marina's channel as well as the video that we filmed together. So I hope you enjoyed this, and I will see you next week with another video. And that's all from me. Bye.
Bye.